that Team WE pull out. They usually put Aluka on a very tank sort of role, either Maokai or his very famous Scion. So by putting him on Aurelia, making him look for that 1v1, there was just too many fires for Spirit to put out. Normally, Aluka can be fine. You can just kind of ignore that lane. It's just about making plays happen elsewhere, typically in the enemy opponent's jungler. But with everything burning down at once, Spirit just couldn't get in control. Yeah,
he couldn't really make anything work. And Team WE, a lot of respect over to Godby here, are going to ban away the Orianna. The Varus is going to hit the bench at the same time, and Imp not going to see Kalista. But in the end, it is going to be LGD following up with, yet again, more Spirit bans. They are going to ban away the Gragas here as well, and Cassiopeia are going to hit the bench, and that's going to mean TBQ gets his hands on the Rek'Sai, and Spirit has to search a little bit further down the priority list.
Yeah, be curious what he's going to go to as far as his pick. For TBQ, not the greatest performance from him last game, is serviceable, and we talked about this before the start of the first game. It's effectively the strongest jungler in LPL in the form of Spirit versus, frankly, one of the weakest. TBQ is easily the weakest link for LGD.
He was sort of stepping up a little bit come finals towards the end of the split in the last split of the LPL, but you're exactly right. TBQ hasn't necessarily shown himself as a power player, but Aluka, he's picked up the Fizz here. Could be going over to GA there in the mid lane, but I have a feeling it might actually be a Fizz top. Of course, Aluka seeing Acorn do it says, okay, we can do it. And one thing to note, actually, is the fact that Acorn playing 2 games in a row.
Yeah, and we can tell that LGD set up initially to do this as opposed to subbing and Flame in. So you can always tell when a last-minute substitution comes through because you'll see bans taken away or penalized against either team. So the fact that LGD got 3 bans meant that they came in, submitted their roster ahead of time, and said, we have Acorn playing back-to-back.
Well, they are going to have him playing the horse this time around. So Hecarim being locked in for Acorn. I believe it was banned away in the first game. Yes, it actually was.
Because his horse is amazing.
His horse is most definitely amazing.
Look at it. Thing I wanted to talk about as far as Aluka.
Just let that one go.
We'll let it go. Just let it drop. Walk away. We were just talking about how Aluka, he normally plays tank champions. Again, Spirit just had to spend so much time. You know, the bottom map's going terribly wrong. The top side, Aluka's trying to 1v1 this time around on the Fizz. Fizz has been very potent, very powerful in the LPL, very big priority pick. But again, if things start to go sideways, it's not a normal lane that Aluka or that Spirit is used to spending his time up there, you know, babysitting Aluka. You usually kind of leave him to his own devices.
Yeah, that's true. And one thing I want to mention, GA, he's got LeBlanc, which was banned away in the last game, I believe. Definitely a power pick for him, but Acorn, he's picked the Hecarim, which is often a losing matchup into the Fizz. And does that show that Acorn's just very confident against Aluka, or is that meaning that LGD have a different plan for how this game is going to go? As Imp's actually locked in Vayne, so I think LGD probably just don't really mind and are just picking whatever they want. Prioritizing the composition versus the lane matchup. That said, a lane swap can go through, especially against Fizz, who has a very powerful 1v1. Wouldn't be surprised, but likewise, Cassidy also on the board for Godby this time. Yeah, so that's LGD
Pantheon.
with... Yep, Pantheon being locked in for Spirit. So we're going on a wild ride, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, not the first time we've seen Pantheon this split. Clear Love picked that one up. Didn't necessarily see the Pantheon do that many fantastic things, but they did manage to win the game in the end. So both sides decided to go with some odd picks this game. But I want to talk about LGD's wave clear, or lack thereof entirely.
So this is the big argument against Vayne, is that she effectively doesn't offer anything outside 1v1 duel potential, and the fact that she can shred through Cinderhulk. People were constantly asking, well, why isn't Vayne becoming popular in the Cinderhulk meta? Because she does true damage. It seems like it would be the perfect response. And wave clear rotations and early towers are just so important in the meta right now, which makes Sivir kind of the queen of the AD carry pickups. That said, we have seen a lot of Kalista bans. So, yeah, it's fantastic if Vayne gets into a side lane, can do that duel. She's not very good at sieging. It takes her a long time to push down a tower. But you have to think about what she's also facing across from. If this Fizz gets going, that's a very easy answer that if Vayne ever finds herself alone in a lane, Aluka can quickly and easily clean that one up.
Find that sentence actually hilarious. Of course, Aluka, generally known for being that damage soak, not necessarily the 1v1 specialist, but now on the Fizz is able to do that if given the opportunity, and we'll see how he does go on this Fizz. But with a lack of wave clear against the likes of a Sivir, the fact that, you know, you can mimic distortion, clear out a wave very quickly, it might be very, very hard for them to get through. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's waste no more time. Let's hop onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, LGD versus WE here for our final game of the night. WE looking to try and get a victory somewhere, and Spirit's decided he's going to do it with the Spartan Wrath of a Pantheon dancing around quite adorably there, as well as TBQ is just hiding in the brush but saying, I can dance as well, guys.
I'm not a big fan of that Pantheon skin.
Why not?
It's really beautiful. Just, I get jealous.
Ah, right. Glorious pectoral muscles, etc.
The thing that I want to talk about, although we've seen Sivir into a lane swap pretty much the entire night, and that looks to be the case this time around, as Mystic and Conan are playing to the top side of the map, was actually the 2v2 where there's synergy between Janna, I want to say Jaina, Janna and Vayne. So I actually really like Vayne with Janna. Primarily for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, Janna's Tailwind passive works fabulously with Vayne's passive, just because you're running that much faster at the enemy team. Likewise, Janna's E. So Janna's E is going to scale exponentially well with any AD carry, because effectively at level 9, when she has all 5 points in her E, Eye of the Storm shield, is that what it's called?
Correct.
It's going to give you a free BF sword worth of damage on top of it. And the thing that excels perfectly well with Vayne in this case is the fact that she's going to itemize attack speed, usually with a Blade of the Rune King rush into a Zeal item, whether that be a Shiv or a Phantom Dancer. So by having that shield, it supplements the fact that she doesn't get a BF item. So it's almost like you get the best of both worlds when you have Janna, and then likewise when she goes into her final hour, she gets bonus AD in the form of a BF sword on top of a Janna shield. So it's, I itemize attack speed, but I get 2 free BF swords for the next 8 seconds.
Yeah, so running around for 8 seconds with 2 gigantic swords.
And then I run really fast, so I really like that. That said, it is going to be a lane swap. We see Sivir again into the top side.
Yeah, and POL on the Janna as well. I mean, you mentioned the fact that POL definitely the playmaker for his team. He's not going to be headbutt pulverizing his way into the middle of team fights this game.
Yeah, much more of a control peel support. That said, PYL's favorite champion and his signature champion is actually Sona. So Sona does have the ability to have the big crescendo, we fight now, but still more of a defensive style support. Yeah,
and we've also likened POL in the past to the likes of Mata, of course, coming through looking fantastic as going to go a bit aggressive there under Godby. Of course, this is a matchup that generally gets touted as a fairly decent one for Cassidy, of course, able to use that shield very, very well, but is going to also suffer in the early game, just being that ranged into melee matchup.
And the issue is that LeBlanc has a hard time really harassing Cassidy out of lane because of the shield, trying to break it in these early levels. Does have the flask to supplement the fact that he will take repeated poke damage just to deal with LeBlanc's low cooldowns.
Well, Acorn and TBQ looking to try and take down yet another very early dragon this game. LGD focusing on that one quite effectively. WE deciding instead that they want to take down the top lane outer turret. Vayne with a pretty deep freeze on the bottom side of the map. He's going to be able to give up PYL just to help out there, and Godby continues to farm underneath his turret. WE, can they get anything done to make up for the fact that they are going to lose out on this dragon just based on the fact that they don't have members in the lanes?
This is actually really reactionary from Mortal Elite. They weren't in position to trade, so it's not like they had the idea that, oh, they're going to take the early dragon, so we're going to take the early tower. They saw, okay, they're probably doing dragon, so we need to get up into position to trade this tower to get significant damage and kill a creep wave onto it. We'll see if they actually commit to pushing it all the way down.
Yeah, they do have an extra creep wave that turns up in the nick of time, so they're going to get a little bit more time with this turret, down to a half health already, burning through all of those extra statistics that the turret gets for the first few minutes of a game, and are going to be able to do so. So, of course, the AD carry is still very, very even as far as that farm is concerned. Imp with the freeze on the bottom side. POL still soaking up some experience there as Haluka and Spirit just hanging out, stealing away some wolves with the man advantage that they have on the top side of the map. And Conan hanging around there as well.
Big difference, actually, as far as CS discrepancies are concerned, although Spirit's actually setting up a bit of a trap for TBQ. They are very deep in LGD's jungle, waiting for someone to walk into them. Is the discrepancy between the junglers, 16 CS to 10, and that doesn't seem like a big difference, but those are in jungle creeps, which is a significant more gold than lane creeps.
Yeah, and it seems that Spirit's sort of making sure that he's around the map, trying to position himself to try and get sort of a stun so that they can grab themselves an easy first blood, but instead it's been LGD dodging out of the way, TBQ farming up very, very quickly course, we did see Spirit do relatively similar things in the last game.
A good proactive play from World Elite here, trying to see if they could catch Acorn alone for a 4v1 dive onto the tower, but LGD respond appropriately. They make sure that TBQ is there for Acorn when he decides to attempt to approach the top lane. Everyone gets canceled out. World Elite will finally trade the tower for the Dragon objective, and they actually set up so many mind games going on. It's like a counter trap. It's a trap.
Yeah, well, LGD looking to find something. There's the Howling Gale, only lands onto Spirit, though, as World Elite. Going to head through. Nice Dark Binding onto PYL, who I thought was going to be able to dodge out of the way of that one, but in the brush, no vision available for WE, and they have to get out of there.
Everyone just trying to be so sneaky, maneuvering around each other, kind of having a similar idea of, I think they're in this area, they're going to walk by this bush, but unfortunately, nothing happening so far. But meanwhile, in the bot lane, Vayne completely free-farmed.
Yeah, Imp doing his no kill participation thing, freezing out this wave forever, doing the best that he can.
When the biggest thing is you're not going to see a discrepancy between the CS, because obviously it's 52 to 41. That said, Sivir's going to catch a big wave sitting on the tower. It's the experienced. Imp is ahead in experience so far. And again, that level 6 on Vayne, especially with the Janna shield, should PYL be standing next to him. That said, roam support, look where he is. He's in the mid lane.
Yep.
Is very, very scary and very devastating for Mystic, should he not be paying attention.
Yeah, but once this hits the mid-game, of course, Vayne probably wants to be split-pushing, probably wants to be getting himself into those 1v1 situations. And Mystic, being the Sivir Vayne matchup, this is something that we've spoken about is, why isn't more Vayne being played? Because Sivir is so popular. Of course, Sivir struggles a little bit as far as a 1v1 in comparison to Vayne.
But I don't even like that as an excuse. Anyone is going to struggle 1v1 against Vayne as far as 80 carries are concerned. She'll pretty much win every single duel. So it's just like, well, so, Vayne's a good matchup against Sivir. Well, obviously.
Well, look, I never said that I was one of those people. Okay, Frosker, and you're trying to pigeonhole
I maybe came on a little too hard right there. But Sivir just offers so much more versatility to her team. And then the fact if Imp ever wanted to split push, if he gets ahead, yes, it is very possible for him. But a LeBlanc, a Pantheon, a Fizz, those are all champions that make it utterly terrifying for a Vayne to be alone by herself. Like, she wants the 1v1, but the 2v1, the 3v1, that is not happy fun times. Likewise, even a 1v1 with Fizz and a LeBlanc, if they're even in gold, is very scary. Yeah,
and having a point-and-click stun available as well, where Imp's going to try and tumble around, dodge skill shots and stuff like that, Pantheon just walks up to you and says, no, stop, please.
It makes it that much more important to make sure that LGD, if they open up this type of option, like playing with their split push pressure with Kassadin and Vayne, the dual potential as well as the mobility,
Yeah, final hour's been popped here as Mystic trying to run away. Silver Bolt's doing a lot of work. The last proc probably going to almost be enough, but the heal. Oh, Imp able to secure the kill. Flashes out of the way of the Dark Binding and gets a wonderful condemn. There's the Black Shield. Not entirely sure. A bit of a panic button move, but the flash is going to get Conan to safety. It's the power of a Vayne level 6, and the Eye of the Storm was there as well, like you mentioned.
Can we talk about the miscommunication there? Because actually PYL didn't get an assist. It was just Imp going hard. He's like, I'm deciding I'm going to kill this guy right now. Gets a fantastic mechanical outplay. He flashes the boomerang. He stuns Conan into the tower by positioning his condemn well enough that forces the flash on Morgana. But it was hilarious because Imp pushes forward and PYL is like, oh, a bush. Walks to the side.
I need to get some vision down here.
I'm pretty sure I need to ward because this guy's about to go ham.
Yep, well, he definitely did get some vision down. They lose an entire creep wave on the turret as well to WE. And 76 to 58 now the farm advantage for Imp, who's picked himself up a BF sword. But maybe a little bit of like shades of double lift here, of course. Did like to go for the blood.
No, this makes sense. This makes sense. Okay, so we were just talking about, I love this actually. We were just talking about the attack speed and how Janna, can compensate for the fact that she's going to rush a Bork. Well, she doesn't necessarily need a Bork because she doesn't need to cut through all of that massive health that they don't have. They're relatively squishy across the board on the side of WE. But the thing about Bloodthirster is it's often picked up as a defensive option because the shield is going to grant you a little bit more supplement tanking or pseudo tankiness to deal with the fact that you're facing across against the LeBlanc, who's going to have that massive burst damage. So it makes sense what he's doing.
I like it. I also like the proud look on your face that you have after that point comes through as well.
It's like a eureka moment.
It's like, yes, nailed it. Okay. But, of course, Imp actually moving out of the way of that Dark Binding as well, looking to try and pick up some extra damage now as the Boomerang only going to hit once now. Mystic down at half health and understands that he's probably not going to be able to get too much done here against this Vayne Janna combo.
Level 8 to level 6. That's pretty much all you need to say.
Yep, and no summoner spells for either of these AD carries, but that's going to bode Probably worse here for Mystic, whose only choice of maneuverability is that flash, and now has nothing of the sort. TBQ just going to clear out some vision here for WE as there's the flash. Nice spell shield from Mystic as Conan, he's going to get condemned. Easy kill picked up. Teleport coming through from Aluka, but that's 2 dead already. The fish down onto Imp doesn't have the heal, so Godby coming over the edge is able to answer the kill, but it does go to Spirit. But the rest of WE getting decimated. Flash out from Spirit, but it's not enough. He does end up getting a double kill as POL falls down, but that's an ace in the end. Conan, of course, respawning in time, but does happen eventually in LGD. 5 kills for 2.
Imp finally goes down. The thing that I really want to point out, because obviously it was a wonderful collapse from LGD to make that happen, is where Godby was standing the entire time of that team fight. Again, going back to LGD's playstyle and what makes them unique and all the individual pieces. Godby was sitting in a bush just to the side, has his sweeper available to him, and he's waiting for someone to walk into him to assassinate or to get involved on the backside of the fight. And this is very classic LGD. He smited that very early. Okay, there it goes.
Yep. That was a couple of smites. There were a couple of smites there. I think Acorn just did a I'm leaving. Better smite it on my way out just for courtesy.
And likewise, can we talk about how PYL flashes forward? He's not a cow this time. He flashes forward with the tornado to make the fight work. And the Morgana Sivir, the spell shield and the dark binding, one of them still manages to get knocked up.
Yeah.
You have so many options, boys.
I feel like Conan probably could have black shielded himself. Just, but
it's fine.
It's very hard in that moment to
They
know
don't
exactly
speak the same
what to
language.
do.
It's.
Hey, look, neither do PYL and him. Okay.
Well, that makes sense. We already saw that
Yeah,
because
it
Imp went forward and PYL was.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so bit of miscommunication on both sides of the rift this game, but definitely working out okay here for LGD. Just meant that POL wasn't able to pick up an assist, whereas Conan died immediately. And that was what happened to him. So Imp now with another freeze now on the top side of the map. Mystic going to take down another outer turret here on the bottom side as Conan going to get rampaged on as a Boomerang just going to lazily head over the top of TBQ, but doesn't take too much damage now with his Cinderhulk and Sightstone completed. Spirit on half health takes a Prey Seeker, but just trying to get himself into the right position to make something happen.
Sending all of their resources bottom, applying pressure. There's not a ton of wave clear available here. That said, very dangerous to approach this tower.
Yeah, and WE now able to clear out some vision. Godby gets a cheeky one, and then Rift walks out of the way. Red buff getting attacked now. Crimson Brambleback is what I wanted to say now. Is a nice triple knock up from that Howling Gale, but TBQ tunnels away, but he's going to die as Aluka picks that one up. His first kill of the game. Cinderhulk completed now as well, but it was a nice fish to land, and Spirit, he's taken away a red buff at the same time. They need you, Imp. Your team needs you, Jie, though. Lands some chains, but still gets stunned up there as Godby trying to get aggressive, but Jie just ignores him.
Blame Imp for that. I mean, effectively, hold on, though, Mystic.
Yeah, Mystic in a lot of trouble here on the bottom side. Acorn looking to try and get amongst it, but there's the onslaught of shadows. Mystic flashes out of the way, but Spirit comes through. There's the stun, another one. The heal was held onto for so long. Beautiful play by Mystic, and Aluka makes his way down, gets knocked up a little bit. Does he have the Urchin Strike in time, though? No, he doesn't. No cooldown reduction as of yet. Not going to have it up for quite some time, so continuing on there, Marion. WE trying to pick up some exit kills, and they're doing well.
It was a great CC lock from Conan as well to make sure that they could pick up Acorn. So Acorn led into the fight with his Onslaught of Shadows, like naturally a power-hungry Hecarim would do. And as soon as the Devastating Charge and the Onslaught of Shadows were used, Conan's like, huh, he's got no escape or ability to reposition himself. Better press R and use that Soul Shackles, because you're eating that stun either way.
Yeah, and of course, Spirit there as well. More stuns to come down. The horse looked like he was just standing around getting killed as opposed to trying to destroy the Sivir.
This is the thing that I wanted to talk about, though. So for the last 2 to 3 minutes, World Elite again have been shoring up their gold lead because LGD in the kind of these mid-game, or I guess early mid-game rotations, dropped the ball as far as the pressure is concerned. They transitioned Imp into a top lane, a side lane, after he took the bottom tier tower just to pick up some free farm. And so it's fine. World Elite invade the jungle, but you understand that your big power point, your Vayne, is off farming. So press a pause, let him have the red buff, and just sacrifice your red buff for free farm and free experience to continue to build up your power points in Kassadin and Vayne. Instead, they try to stretch themselves too thin. They tackle and attempt to steal away the red buff and give away 2 free kills back-to-back when they just needed to back off.
Yeah, and WE now going to try and get something done here in the mid lane. Riftwalk going to get Godby out of trouble there, but this tower still under fire. WE with 4 members now. That force pulse across most of them, though, getting a lot of work done and clearing out the minion wave. As, of course, the Rod of Ages has been completed by Godby as well, so he's really starting to stack up. Now sitting in a little bit of a trough, but that is going to be over and done with very, very soon. And he's ahead by almost 30 CS here in the mid lane against a LeBlanc.
That's typically not what you see on Kassadin. Yeah, the lane phase against LeBlanc is decent just because his shield really helps against her burst.
Yep.
But LeBlanc is so good at farming with her W that typically you're still, I mean, you want to come out even a little bit behind on Kassadin, but to come out that far ahead, again, LGD, they prioritize sending Vayne and Kassadin back into their lanes as opposed to collapsing into that red jungle. And the problem was it was a miscommunication. LGD's 3 members still tried to make something happen, got punished for it, when they just needed to allow Godby and Imp to continue to build up these CS leads.
Yeah, well, look, it's worked out fine here for LGD so far. Of course, a few kills have been got back for WE, but not necessarily enough to account for the fact that they are behind a couple of dragons and a couple of 1,000 gold as well. LGD also with a bit of standing gold left on the map. There are a couple of outer turrets they still haven't taken, but I'm not sure whether that is necessarily standing gold that they can get, because LGD, they are lacking a lot of the wave clear, and we'll see whether they can account for that with something in the later stages. Xie just going to head back to a distortion and not worry too much about Godby.
It's not the structures that LGD care about, it's just the farm and the lanes. Yes, obviously you want to siege, you want to push down towers because you need to defeat the Nexus, but the longer these lane phase draw out and the more free gold we see that Godby move down into the bottom to catch that free wave onto their hyper carries, the better a position LGD are in. Likewise, there is a very small window of opportunity for Spirit's Pantheon to really be a consistent threat in this game, especially because he didn't get snowballed.
Yeah, he hasn't really managed to get too much done. And as we have a look at the gold here, you can see the fact that Imp ahead by about 1,000. Similar here for the mid lane as well, as it's almost 1,200 gold the advantage for Godby, who's able to pick up so much more farm and a couple of kills.
What's really important to look at, again, we talk about Snowball. Yeah, Pantheon Spirit there is sitting 3-1-1, but he's actually behind in gold to TBQ, and a big part of that is because he hasn't been farming effectively. Again, 73 to 45, a majority of those are actually going to be in camps, and that's a huge difference from lane creeps.
Yeah, and of course, Spirit as well. I mean, he's the jungler. You don't necessarily want a lot of your gold there, but the fact that TBQ's able to farm this one out, get to a similar point regardless, means that WE unable to really transition what would have been sort of effective money onto, you know, the lanes that really need it. So it's going to be on a Pantheon.
He's sitting and he's trying to catch Xie rotating back into the mid lane. He constantly does this. He'll just stand to the side as kind of a human ward and assassin, no matter if he's playing a controlled mage or an assassin this time like Kassadin.
Does have that sweeper as well. Still, one more time. I like that style of play, of course, as well. Just allows more flashiness around the Rift. LGD now going to start off their 3rd dragon of the game. Extra movement speed, probably going to feel very, very good for the likes of Imp on this Vayne, able to run around this team fight very, very quickly. And now you can see, actually, with the final hour, he moves pretty quick.
The respect that WE just gave LGD. So LGD's mid-tier tower is very low. There's not a ton of wave clear. You said it before. Vayne does not bring wave clear to her team. Oh, no. They could have easily walked up to it, tapped it, and walked to the side, especially because they had the on the hunt available to them. I have no idea why they decide, like, just so respectful. Oh, LGD might flank us when we have on the hunt. It could just walk away from them. So they just don't take a free objective and lose the dragon. Very scared. Yeah,
and that's the 3rd dragon as well. As the condemn against the wall, Xie is going to die as Imp not going to get distorted away from this time as the bolt was already in the air. And LGD get a pick. Are they going to be able to transition this into any objectives? We're not entirely sure. The wave's not in the right positions exactly, as Luca going to take a bit of harass, but he's fairly tanky now with the Cinderhulk, the Glacial Shroud, and of course that Ruby Crystal chilling out there as well.
See if Imp and PYL can actually siege onto this tower. Here comes the Grand Skyfall.
Yeah, man drop here in the mid lane is PYL. He's going to be the target. Very, very low. The heal there, though, and Imp trying to get some damage back.
Wow.
Akon and TBQ right in the middle of the fight. Godby rift walking amongst it as well, and the WE members fall so quickly. Godby's 2 towers deep, picks up the triple kill, and lives to tell the tale.
That was beautiful CC. So a fantastic reset on Monsoon, pushes all of World Elite's members together, and then beautifully the knock up from TBQ into an onslaught of shadows on 4 members from Acorn.
Imp going for the outplay as he is able to kill the turret before the last turret shot would have potentially killed him there. And GA not able to get anything more done. And man, this Vayne's super aggressive.
But that's what WE needed to do. They didn't have a ton of options because, yeah, they don't have, or LGD don't have the best wave clear. But on the other side, unless Mystic is standing there, neither do...
Yeah, true.
I mean, you're effectively the distortion. LeBlanc has to come forward onto the wave, so it's not the safest form of wave clear. You're waiting for Sivir to step back. So they looked to pull the trigger, thought they got a good engagement, but again, fantastic reset from PYL. And that wombo combo from TVQ and Acorn was beautiful to watch.
It was ridiculous. Everyone knocked up, then everyone feared.
But this is how this is going to be expected. So LGD shouldn't be able to just walk up and to take towers for free. They need to make action happen. It needs to either be an ace or they need to get primary targets down. So big one is going to be Mystic because he's holding most of the wave clear. Likewise, Xie on that distortion. Those are the two targets that need to go down for LGD to continue to siege these towers.
Yeah, TVQ was able to steal away that red buff as GA. Oh, going to get condemned to relative safety now as well as Imp's actually going to pop final hour. Whoa, Mystic, 3 auto attacks. And he's down super low, but there's the stun onto Imp. The Grand Skyfall as well, obliterated from the map. Now TVQ going to get chilling smited as well. Acorn wants to find his way in. Everyone very, very low. Look at the health bars melt now as Godby comes through as well. Acorn with the rampage. There's the ult finally. And LGD spending some time underneath the turret now as the double kill with that final Force Pulse comes in. And LGD, they pick up 3 kills. They might even be able to break the base.
Imp goes crazy, tries to go for the outplay, gets caught up, chain CC between the Fizz Ultimate and the Pantheon, but it doesn't matter because there are so many damage threats still on this team. Godby is huge, Acorn is massive. Even if Imp goes down in a chain CC like that, it doesn't stop the power or the train of LGD.
Yeah, and they're now 10,000 gold in the lead. Well, very, very close anyway, as Imp has picked up the Phantom Dancer and, of course, the Alacrity enchant on those Berserker's Greaves as well. I mean, it's a bit of a mouthful to say. It is 7-0-3 for Godby on the other side. This guy's got his Zonya's Hourglass newly acquired. A lot of sand in the top of that one at the moment. And, look, that's a 2-item Kassadin now with that Rod of Ages almost completely stacked. It is, in fact, fully stacked up. And yeah, Godby is most definitely one of the most terrifying Kassadins that we've seen at 22 minutes in a game.
Pretty much across the board, 1, 1, and 9. Look at those kill scores for all of LGD. And again, what I was saying is there's just so many threats. Even if you do kill Imp, even if you do track down Godby and kill him, you're still dealing with Janna, Hecarim, Rek'Sai. There's not enough that World Elite can do right now.
Yeah, and it's going to take a whole lot to try and take down any of these high-priority team members as well, because
frankly, they missed their window of opportunity. I mean, Sivir's not going to be a hyper carry. Pantheon either needs to get going, he's going to have a major drop-off in damage. I mean, we've seen that Spirit's tried to pull the trigger on 2 Grand Skyfalls, but it hasn't led to anything just because he doesn't have the damage, he doesn't have the resources to really compensate for the tankiness or the burst damage that the other team's doing. LeBlanc will be fine late game, but I frankly feel like World Elite, they just don't have any options on their composition, especially as this game goes later and later.
And now that they've lost the middle inhibitor as well, I mean, that's really opened up the game for LGD, whose only real failing was picking any form of wave clear, but that's been dealt with. Super Creep's now heading down the mid lane, and they can dive repeatedly. They've got to the point where they have all of the items. This Hecarim is an absolute beast. Has picked up the Phage, now going for a Trinity Force, saying, okay, I don't really care about picking up a Frozen Heart. I don't mind, I want damage now. And Acorn's definitely making that into something that's working for the team.
It's very easy to siege towers when the enemy team is always dead. And unfortunately, instead of playing a wave clear game, World Elite just continually, again, are trying to pull the trigger using the Grand Skyfall and fighting them 3 feet off of their own tower as opposed to just kind of sitting back. But that said, they don't have any reason to really sit back. It's not like they're waiting for a Jinx or something to hyper scale. They have to act now, and they need to get these engagements or these picks.
Yep, and it's not really a time to be talking about the multiplicative scaling of Aluka's Fizz either.
Multiplicative.
That's fun to say. Not necessarily relevant at this point. And it is over 10,000 gold now, the lead for LGD. They could potentially head over to a Baron if they want to. They've got a plethora of pink wards on the map. In fact, oh my goodness, Imp actually pops final hour, but before doing so, almost kills GA, flashes over the wall. Conan almost taken down as Spirit. Look at the damage from this Vayne. Now with, of course, the QSS there just to make sure not going to be carrying any fish around for too long. And it seems like LGD, they don't really mind about taking down some extra turrets. It looks like the base might be what's on their mind at this stage. And with super creeps there, they might be able to do so. Spirit down for another 17 seconds. It's a 4v5. Godby gets caught by the Dark Binding, but this Nexus turret, the first one's falling down. Mystic has to deal with some Silver Bolts. Conan takes a whole bunch of damage. The Monsoon, they're actually probably upsetting Imp just a little bit, but Godby picks up the second kill of this extended team fight, and WE, they're going to spend the rest of the time on the fountain. LGD with a dominating performance in Game 2. Imp actually decides to get himself killed here as Aluka's going to lock down that kill. Godby, he's going to die as well. We may have this game extended. My goodness. Aluka with the triple kill already. And Akon, did he piece out of that a little bit earlier than he should have?
Yeah.
Yep.
Imp proving that it doesn't matter if he doesn't have wave clear. He can just style. He can play the Vayne in any matchup that he wants.
I think he may have taken his hands off his keyboard. He was already getting up to go shake the hands of the World Elite players, and
Acorn took a bathroom break. He onslaught of shadows. He got up from his desk. He's like, okay.
Yep. Well, look, the game continues, ladies and gentlemen. Another 11,000 gold lead, though, for LGD, as TBQ is going to sheepishly take down the fourth dragon of the game. Acorn going to give him a hand as well, with the Rampage helping him out. And look, see whether WE can use this as a momentum changer.
A momentum changer. The thing that we can talk about is kind of larger context narrative for both of these teams, kind of their identity coming into the split. So the interesting thing about both these teams, because there was a lot of roster changes between the spring to summer split, is that they both retained their original rosters, having the same plan. Nothing really got changed up, so it's not like they had to go backwards in any sort of their momentum. They just kept building their synergy and their teamwork forward. We did have a little bit of a delay as PYL face checks into Spirit, because we did have Fan come and sub in for PYL, and obviously it's a completely, we keep saying this, it's a completely different animal. If you didn't watch week 1 of LGD, they did not look this crisp. They would not have been able to pull off a Vayne or a zero wave clear composition like this. That's Kassadin and Vayne. If this composition ever fell behind, you're pretty much screwed, because it's free-for-all for WE. On the other side, WE are still suffering from the same problems. Just too many fires. They aren't strong enough individually in their own lanes to get through lane phase. It's win lane, win game for WE. That's pretty much their win conditions. And they lost lane pretty much across every single board. Spirit running around, can't put out all the fires, can't stop all the bleeding. I mean, frankly, WE, they need to reevaluate their strategy if they want to continue to be relevant in this league, or just scrape by.
Well, at the moment, Spirit, Conan, and Mystic have been waiting in that brush for a very long time.
A whole Baron's worth of time.
Yeah, Imp is actually going to pop the final hour. He uses the QSS to get out of the way of that Dark Binding and just destroys Conan there. Going for a tower dive here as well as Mystic. Just one more auto attack, casually picks that one up. There's the Monsoon, mostly for fun here from PYL as Aluka just trying to fizz his way around, but he's going to die for it. Godby taking his share of the pie, and now LGD going to finish off the Nexus after the inhibitor falls for the second time. And LGD, a little bit later than we otherwise would have expected, take down the